Wine to Five is partially funded by Albarello Luxury Hand Soap, an unscented must-have accessory for anyone who loves wine, cooking, and food. For more information, visit albarellosoap.com.
It's not 5 o'clock, and they don't care. Welcome to Wine to Five. Entertainment, education, and everyday drinking for everyday people. Your hosts are Valerie Caruso and Stephanie Davis, two wine educators who don't need a clock to know when to pour that next glass.
This is cool. So here we are at my kitchen table.
Yeah.
Together.
Finally, cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
I know, it's so crazy.
I know.
Okay, we're finally doing this, and we're finally together, and we have actually kind of a jam-packed, just over 24 hours, I think it is, because we're doing some podcasting, we're doing live stream with Wines of Italy with Katerina tomorrow. We've got phone calls and 2017 coming our way. So.
Oh my gosh. But we have some cool bottles in front of us today, and I think it'd be really cool to share these with our listeners.
Taste and tell.
I think so. Yeah, so welcome back, and welcome back to the house and everything.
And thank you for busting out your Japanese wines.
Japanese wines, I know. This is nuts. We've got a couple of bottles of Japanese wine in front of us, and these were all hand carried back. So before we get started, I think it's important that everybody know that these are not probably typical of the wines that you can find that are imported, and we'll talk about those a little later. And these may not be representative of the best wines. These are wines that somebody had found, and we'll talk about who did, and thought they'd be interesting to me, the wine geek, and of course I'm sharing with Steph, my co-geek in crime here. Mm-hmm. And we thought it'd be fun to share this experience. We still haven't had our lips on any of these wines yet.
No. I mean, they're going to get it like right now.
Yeah.
In real time.
Yeah. And I think it's also safe to say that most of these bottles have no English on them whatsoever. And I had to pull out an app to get some translation because I don't read Japanese.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some of the translations were downright hilarious.
And scary. Even.
And scary. Yeah. So I don't think that was meant to be what they were supposed to say, but it was funny. So welcome to episode 86, everybody. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Tell us, where did these wines come from, really?
Yeah, the wines came from Carl Rosa, and he is the founder of Sushi Club of Houston, Explore Sushi, Sushi Science, Ramen in Common, Journey to Japan, and these are just several of his other businesses that he has where he promotes Japanese culture. In fact, right now, Carl is in Japan and says he'll be listening while he's there. So Carl, if you're listening, it's time. It's time to go through these wines that you sent, and we're really excited about it. And we'll, of course, link up all these sites for you as well, including his Raw Conversations podcast, in case you're interested in learning more about food and travel in Japan. So who is Carl? Well, I met Carl back in July, but we've actually been communicating online for probably a year before that. And we actually met up for a 2-hour sushi and wine pairing session that he hired me to do for him. And we are planning some educational events in 2017, which we're pretty excited about as well. But this dude, Carl, knows his sushi, guys. Oh my gosh, if you're a sushi lover, you want to go check out what he's putting online or get to one of his classes if you can, because he taught me quite a few things about it. And I've only been eating it for about 15 years, 16 years.
Only, right?
Well, yeah, because I'm not a big seafood person, so I'm real picky with my seafood. And so I tried it when I was a young lieutenant at Beale, way back in like 2000, I think was the first time I tried sushi. So 16 years. So I thought I knew sushi. I don't know sushi.
Really?
No. There's some stuff that when you go to a local restaurant that they don't know about sushi that they probably should know. Yeah. So this guy, he knows sushi. So I was pretty flattered that he chose Vino with Val that's my company, to work with him on his sushi pairing projects. Additionally, Carl's hunt for all the best things Japanese, whether it's food, wine, culture, experiences, whatever. He messages me back and forth from various wine regions in Japan as well. So these bottles have been waiting until Steph and I could dig in together and try them. So I have to say thanks to Carl, and Kanpai is how you say cheers in Japanese.
Oh, right.
I Googled it. Kanpai. Yes. So
thank you, Carl.
Yes, and I don't know how to speak anything in Japanese except things that I probably shouldn't say on the podcast. So,
well, let's dive in then with wine number 1.
Let's do it.
Okay, and it's a Tamba wine. Mm-hmm. The name of the wine is Assemblage Rouge. There is no vintage, although it was sent to you last year.
Yeah, so it's probably a 2014-ish. Yeah.
And the winery, this is all some information that Val was able to dig up because, again, it's all in Japanese. So the winery was founded in 1979 and is near Kyoto. It's a red blend that has at least Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot, but could have up to 9 grapes in it. We just don't know what they all are. And the philosophy behind the winery is to make wine that is complementary to Japanese cuisine. Now, what I found in some of my research was that most of the wines are designed to go with their food. So, fresh seafood and sushi and things like that. And so a lot of the wines are fruitier, lighter,
right?
But they also have heavy snow, skiing there, and so there's issues with grapes ripening too. But so complementing the Japanese cuisine, I'm not surprised that it would say that if it was translated on your app.
Well, I think the enjoying of wine is kind of a relatively new thing, even though it is, they do consume a lot of wine per capita as a nation. But you got to think of their cuisine has a lot of umami in it too. Think of a lot of the soy, think of the different fish dishes and things like that. And umami, that savory place, in the palate that I find if you have a lot of tannin, if you've got an umami dish and you got a lot of tannin in the wine all of a sudden seems like bitter and less fruity. So what they want is a wine that's not going to aggravate that aspect of the cuisine. So
right.
I'm going to just guess that looking at a couple of these bottles, 3 of them are red, the last one is white. I'm going to guess that at least half of these are going to be sweet. Let's start with the first one.
Dry. Not sweet.
Well, that's why I put this one first, because I had a feeling if any of them were dry, it was going to be this first one.
I'm actually getting, I didn't sense it at first, but I'm now getting some kind of a floral component. Maybe that's with the retronasal.
I'm almost getting a salinity as well.
I think it actually kind of tastes better than it smells.
Tannins are quite smooth on it.
It's really kind of, I don't know, I'd say medium bodied.
Yeah. And all the things I could find online about it were this was Cabin Merlot, but on the back of the label with the little translate app, it said it's made from 9 grapes. I don't know how accurate that is. So I'm guessing by the tannins, we do have a significant amount of Merlot in here, or I'm sorry, Cabernet in here. But there's some kind of grapey note that I'm getting that...
A grapey note.
Yeah, if you think about like your Concord grapes and things like that, which they grow a lot of, and we'll talk about later. But I'm almost wondering if...
Like a foxy kind of thing?
Yeah, a little bit. But I'm getting the floral. I'm getting the plummy kind of thing that you normally get with a Merlot. Maybe if it opens up a little. Because remember, I've had this wine for a while.
I think it might need to open up a little. But the other thing to me just doesn't seem as complex. It just, it's a very straightforward wine. Even though we can't describe it very well, I think it feels, it has a short finish.
But there's a salinity, almost a saltiness to the wine that I'm getting. Are you getting that?
No.
Okay, that could be just because I was eating hummus. But I don't know.
Well, it doesn't. It's neither right nor wrong. That's the good thing about it.
Yeah, that's true. That's kind of what we're getting. So this is that assemblage, and this is a assemblage rouge. They make
I think it will get better.
I think so too.
As it opens up.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll try it again at the end. Okay, let's move on to the wine number 2.
Yeah. So wine number 2, this is from Asahi Breweries, and you may have seen the beer. But this is their wine brand, and it's called Saint Neige. And neige is French for snow. So Saint Neige would be like sacred snow or saint snow or holy snow or however you want to look at it. It is from the Kofu Basin, and this is in the Japanese Alps. And this falls in what they call the Yamanashi Prefecture. And this is, the Yamanashi Prefecture actually grows about 25% of Japan's grapes. And I think you remember Steph talking about prefectures in one of the other episodes, right?
Right.
Yeah, so we'll talk about how many they have and how many of them actually grow grapes. But there are nearly 60 wineries, or approximately. There could be more now. There were 58 last time I saw it, but there could be more than 60 now. This wine is also considered certified organic. There is no sulfite added, and they've been growing vinifer wines here at St. Neige, at least since the early 50s, I want to say 53, and they embrace the motto, good wine comes from good grapes. And
where did you find that out? Was that on the label translated?
This was from their website and a little bit from the back. And what you guys can't see, which is really cool, and we should probably take a picture of, is there's almost a sliding scale on the back of the bottles of these wines. So 2 of these bottles have a little red indicator. It's like a little, you know how wines will say dry, sweet, medium sweet, whatever, luscious. This one is the furthest to the left side of the bottle. And I'm going to say that this is probably one of the...
It's like a spectrum.
Yeah, so I'm going to say lighter body, and I'm going to say it's going to have a little residual sugar, where this one, as you can see, all the way across, looks like it's probably going to be the sweetest.
Yeah.
Now remember...
That's like when you buy coffee and it says light, medium,
full body. So
yeah.
I think there's a sliding scale on the back here, so we can guess that this one's going to be the lighter of the 2 bodies and kind of a little bit less sweetness, and this one I think is going to have a lot of sweetness. And then the last one we know is sweet because it's made in an ice wine style. So let's talk about this. Tell me what you're getting, Steph.
Well, I'm just surprised. I think because when you said no sulfites added, it does seem though that it's manipulated in some way to me, just by the nose. It's just not what I'm expecting. And it's not clear fruit characteristic that's coming out.
No, it's candy.
It's kind of a candy / chemically.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's like candy at all, I would say it's like a hard candy, like a Jolly Rancher type of a candy.
Yeah, almost like, or that, maybe that like, you think about the Beaujolais Nouveau, how it's got the carbonic maceration, so it gives you this candied bubble gum kind of thing going on.
It kind of has like that. And you know what else I got? Was like some pine, like a pine resin. Isn't that weird?
This is not dry. I would say it's just off dry, which is what the back of the bottle kind of indicates. The grapes in here, couldn't tell you. Could not tell you. I know they grow some European varieties. They do grow some Cabernet. They do grow some Merlot. But when we get into the grapes later and what most of their wines are made with, most of their wines are made with hybrid grapes or imported juice. But these grapes were grown in that area, which is another unusual thing, and we'll get to in a minute, because a lot of their wines that are exported are made with, again, imported juice.
Right.
But if it's made with higher quality grapes and grapes grown there in their region, then those wines tend to be very expensive. So,
right. It's a small percentage of their market.
I'm going to go to their website again real quick and see if there's anything I missed, because, I was doing this earlier.
And the Yamanashi, is that how you say it, prefecture?
Yamanashi?
Yamanashi.
Yeah, it says here they have Cab and Merlot. Their wines are made using European varieties, and these are the international varieties we talk about, the Cab, Merlot, whatever. They have Chardonnay. They are one of the very few people that do grow these, but it says Cab and Merlot. What do you think, Steph? Yamanashi.
Anything's possible.
Yep.
Anything's possible.
I would say this reminds me of almost like a Beaujolais Nouveau kind of thing.
I think that would be the closest, descriptor to it.
Yeah.
I think that's good, because people know what that is, what to expect. And I am questioning that these do need some air, maybe.
Yeah. And it also says...
not that it's going to change completely, but I do think it would help.
And there's this little block right here, this little tiny block of Japanese on the wine here. It does say, drink right away. So, because there are no sulfites added, because they're not big pesticide users and stuff like that, then they're saying that, these wines don't last long on the shelf. So and these were only sent a couple weeks back.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Wine number 3. So this is also in one of these small screw cap bottles. Mm-hmm. And we're thinking that it's probably going to be a little bit sweeter, or maybe a lot sweeter. It's darker. The color's a lot darker.
And because it's red right over here, I'm going to use my app and we'll see exactly what it says.
Okay, and I'll tell a little bit about it.
Yeah.
In keeping with the breweries getting in on the winemaking game theme, so we mentioned that one earlier. The next wine number 3, is a Sapporo winery, Sapporo Polaire, and it's a Cabernet Sauvignon from the Katsunuma district. And about 15% of the Yamanashi grapes are grown here in the Yamanashi prefecture. So Sapporo, just like you have when you go have sushi at your favorite sushi place, Sapporo, the beer company, launched this wine brand in 2003. And the wine is made with imported grape juice, which is quite common, like we said. And in fact, when the winery first opened, they were using wines from Yakima Valley in Washington State.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that interesting?
I know. I saw an article on it, a Washington wine type article. The Snipe, is it Snipes?
I don't know.
Yeah. So looking at the translator here, this right here, the top one, this is slightly sweet. And then this right here translates to full body. It makes sense because the more residual sugar, the more full bodied the wine is. So this is
and it's more opaque.
Yeah, this is the darkest colored one of all. It's really deep.
You can't even hardly see your finger through the other side of it.
Yeah.
It again has the candied nose, maybe even like those Luxardo cherries, the syrup, kind of like that.
And this is Cabernet Sauvignon, as you mentioned.
Whoa. You know what's so interesting, I think, about it, though? It's not like you're having, to me, it's not like red dessert wine. This is just like a sweet red table wine.
This is like therapeutic.
Yes! It is like that. Oh.
I just ate a spicy pecan.
Oh, yeah? How was that? I'm going to try that.
You know what?
No?
It's pretty spicy. I think it'll be probably better with the last one.
With the white.
But we also have in front of us these really cool, crunchy chocolate things. Again, I tried translating the literature that was with it. It was really difficult, but they are a candy. Because Carl's really good about sending goodies along, too. Remember he sent us all those Kit Kats?
Yes.
We used to have some of those, too.
Yeah.
By the way, Japan has over 200 flavors of Kit Kats. Just so you know. And we got to sample about 14 of them. Again, thanks to Carl. He's really good about sharing the Japanese culture with us, and we love it. But these are a chocolate crunch. So we're going to give this a try.
What's the green one?
I don't know one's green, one wrapper's green, and one wrapper's yellow.
I wonder if it's like green tea or matcha or something.
I don't know.
It's kind of good. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if I would want it with this sweet Cabernet from Sapporo. I'm telling you, there probably is a market in the U.S. for this.
Yes.
I think so, too. Yep. Even if it's not what I would prefer to drink at home, I think there's some people who would probably drink it and enjoy it.
Yeah. I think what's interesting about this wine comes from a place that's considered to have a better climate. Still in the Yamanashi Yamanashi prefecture, okay. But this place has a better climate because it's higher elevation. Mm-hmm. The wine we just had was from a bowl, the Kofu Basin. So even though it's in the Japanese Alps, it's down in a valley where there's more moisture and more mildew and things like that can happen. So the better quality grapes are considered to be from this area where this wine number 3 was made. Yet, this is the wine that's made with juice that's brought in.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. Now, this is a Saint Neige. There are some award-winning Saint Neige wines. This, I don't believe, is one of them. Okay. Both of these lines have award-winning wines. These aren't, those top-of-the-line wines.
Okay.
So just so you know.
These are more like the everyday wines that the Japanese are having.
That's exactly it.
Because it's affordable, it's accessible.
Easy to drink.
It's easy to drink. It's at the store. You can, yeah.
Also, because these are both breweries, they do have about probably 80% of the production market in Japan as well. So a lot of wine is produced by these companies here.
Yeah.
But
mass produced.
They do have a top line. Like this one is the Polaire. They have the Grand Polaire. And this is the wine that, like I said, was launched back in 2003. But even though this wine is made in a climatically more ideal place to grow grapes, the juice is brought in. Yet the last one was made from a place that was less ideal, yet those are the organically farmed grapes. And I thought, whoa, it should have been, you would have think the other way around, because this is from a more higher altitude where this winery is. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Also, the point should be made that grape growing is storied to have begun in this area by a Buddhist priest type, what do they call them, a monk?
No, I think they're priests.
Yeah, a Buddhist priest or a Buddhist monk back in 718.
Yeah. But they were growing grapes I don't know that they were making wine,
They were
right?
not. They were not.
They were growing grapes.
Yeah, winemaking didn't happen until the late 19th century.
Right.
You know, and then there was some documented wine drinking going on when the Portuguese missionaries got there and everything. So wine grape growing, or grape growing, I should say, goes way back. But it wasn't always wine grapes.
Yeah.
Okay, it wasn't until the late 19th, early 20th century when they decided, oh, maybe these wines are cool. Maybe we'll get some of those European varieties and bring those in and start growing them. But that's still less than 1% of the grape growing that's going on right now. So most of the grapes that they grow are hybrid grapes. We'll talk about what those are in a minute. But where this wine is made in Yamanashi, these last two wines, this is about 40% of the vineyards are in the Yamanashi prefecture, which I think is interesting.
I do think
and,
so.
And not just Yamanashi, it also includes Nagano and Yamagata. Prefectures as well. So these are all on Japan's main island of Honshu. Okay. Which is cool. But tell us about wine number 4, because wine number 4 is not from Honshu.
Okay. And it's not red.
And it's not red.
And it has a vintage date.
And
it's a 2014 Hokkaido. Is that how you say it, I think?
Hokkaido?
Hokkaido. Hokkaido. And it's made in the ice wine style with the Niagara grapes. So here they also grow Kerner, Zweigelt, Gewürztraminer, and even have some German on the label. What? So there's a German influence here. Yeah, I mean, with what they've chosen as their varieties. So they've been making wine since 1974. I think one of the other ones started in the 70s too.
79, yeah.
Unlike the other 3 wines, this one is from the island of Hokkaido, which is the most northern island and the second largest. It's cold, hence the frozen grapes and the ice wine style. They actually have to bury the vines in the winter to keep them from being destroyed with temperatures dropping well below 0. They do that in China as well.
Yeah.
That just seems like so much work.
You know, it really does. Well, because remember, we talked about the 30 to 50 latitude, and that, you know, you're approaching the very northern reaches of where grapes can grow successfully. So, think about Canada.
Yeah.
Think about Niagara, that region, and we got a Niagara grape here in the glass, which is a hybrid. It's typically not when we talk about wine grapes, I don't know if we've ever talked about, like, grapes, Vitis vinifera versus Labrusca, Rotundifolia, Estevalius, and whatever. Most of the wine grapes of the wine we drink comes from, generally, international varieties or European varieties. These are your Cab, Merlot, Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc. All these kind of things are considered Vitis vinifera. It's a species of grape.
Right.
Well, way back in America, way back in the day when the Pilgrims came over and they tried growing grapes, remember what was happening? They were trying to make wine with the grapes found on American soil. These would be your Vitis labrusca, which is your Concord grape, and all that. So they had these Vitis labrusca, Vitis rotundifolia, all these other species of grapes, but these are not wine grapes. Same with your table grapes. They're not the grapes you make wine with. So, like Tim Hanna said, stop with the grapes and the wine pairing. They're not the same grapes you make wine with. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
You know, if you like it, that's great. But
it only really looks pretty on your platter.
Pretty. I can't stand it.
It looks pretty on your platter, but it doesn't make sense to. You don't enjoy the wine.
No.
With the grapes.
I think grapes, to me, make any wine absolutely foul. But that's my taste.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who love it. They've got to have a cheese plate with grapes. I'm like, oh, yeah, it looks great, but I don't want to eat that.
Yeah, aesthetically it looks nice. I mean, it would be much better if they just roasted them in the oven with some sausage, and then you could have it.
Oh, speak it, sister. Yeah. So what's going on here, this Niagara grape? So this is a hybrid. So there's a cross and there's a hybrid. You have 2 grapes of the same species. Like
2 Vitis vinifera.
Yeah. So you got Cabernet Franc, Sauvignon Blanc.
Right.
They got together, both grapes from Vitis vinifera, and I'm making finger motions here, and Steph's nodding.
You've done that with the gummy bears.
I know, right? And so they got, and that's where the Cabernet Sauvignon come from. That's called a cross. When you have a hybrid, this is where you would have a Vitis vinifera grape, like maybe a Cabernet Sauvignon, and then you crossed it with a Vitis labrusca grape. That's what you call a hybrid. So these are hybrid. This is the labrusca-based hybrid of Niagara, and they do grow a lot of it. So froze the grapes, made some wine. Steph, what are your notes on this?
Well, you know, I think it's very spicy. I think it has a gingery note. I think it also has like spicy, like a jalapeno note. And it's not what I would have expected, especially in the descriptor of an ice wine.
This one's got a white pepper.
Yeah, like a spicy.
And it's so aromatic.
It's so aromatic. It's just like...
It's like, yeah.
Holy, like, kicks you off your chair.
It's like tomato leaf, though.
It does. It has like a vegetable note, too.
Yeah, it's like you're hanging out in your garden. And this is when they're talking about the whole foxy thing that these kind of grapes bring to the party. There's probably a little bit of that going on in there.
I think it would probably be really good in a cocktail. I just think that there's, like, I wouldn't enjoy this on its own, but I think it could be kind of cool using it as an aromatized wine.
Oh, yeah.
In a drink.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, of all of them, I think I'm enjoying this one the most.
Really?
I really am, because it's so interesting. And that white pepper finish.
Yeah.
It's making me crazy. But they're still got that asparagus tomato leaf thing. But it's not bad. It's like sitting out in your garden.
It is. And actually, the finish is longer than all of the other wines.
I would say this is a well-made wine.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting.
It is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
What other fun facts do we've got here?
Well, of course, like I said, these were all hand carried back. Fortunately, we're not coming from a place where we can give you a well-informed and tasted palate view of Japanese wine. We just thought it'd be fun to taste and kind of bring you guys along for the ride.
Yeah, this is the first time I've ever had my lips on Japanese wine.
Yeah, exactly.
Period. Yeah.
So they do tend to keep their wines, the ones that are made with domestic grapes, like I mentioned earlier, they tend to be for the domestic market because they don't make a lot of it, and they tend to be a little bit more expensive. And of the 47 prefectures they have, 36 of the prefectures in Japan do make wine.
That's impressive.
I thought so too.
It's more than half.
Yeah. 75% of the wine bottled in Japan relies on bulk and or concentrated juice that's imported. And so when I first got sent this wine, I was almost sure that the Niagara juice was imported, but I do understand that these grapes were grown there, and they made them with their own grapes. So they are Hokkaido grapes. So they do mention that on their bottle here, which is cool. Yay, Google Translate app.
Estate grapes, then.
Yes. And if any of you represent any of these wines and we're wrong, please let us know, because you don't want to know what Google Translate told us about some of these wines, because it's so funny, the translations that came up. I texted it to Steph, I'm like, don't be scared.
I know.
But here's what the back label of this bottle says. And it's just like, it's totally mistranslated. It has to be.
There should have been a warning, don't look at this text while you're driving.
Oh, yeah. So there is a grape.
Yes.
There is a grape that represents kind of Japanese wine that I really want to get my hands on, that K&L used to have, and they don't have it anymore. Tell us about it.
The Koshu grape. So that is more of an indigenous type of variety. I did see something about where they think it originally came from. Somewhere from the Caucasus, I think. And yet it's been there so long in Japan that that's considered their like indigenous grape. So
yeah, it had to do with the Silk Road, didn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
That's right. Exactly.
Okay.
So, Grace Winery is known for really excelling at their koshu. If you find any Japanese wine online, or maybe at a wine shop in New York City or something,
Or Florida,
it could very well be the Grace Winery koshu, you know? And 90% of the koshu is grown by Katsunuma.
I think it's supposed to Katsunuma.
Katsunuma.
I think that's what that's supposed to be.
Katsunuma. And that's also in the Yamanashi prefecture. Go figure. It's ideal for the rougher climate. Oh, it's a quite hardy and versatile grape. That's right. Oh yeah, they looked almost like Pinot Gris.
Pinot Gris,
yeah, like Pinot Gris. Pinkish, thick skins, and they're hardy, yeah, and fend off the hazards of the wet, damp climate there.
You got that monsoon.
Yeah.
Talk with my mouth full, sorry.
The crunchy crunch. That's the one. I definitely want to try some koshu, because when I was doing my research, it seemed like the ones that were having excellent reviews were all koshu. Jancis Robinson mentioned some of them. And even, I think, there was some mention of Robert Parker, saying that he liked the koshu. And I do not follow Parker, and I'm not, obsessed with points, but it's just interesting to see the spectrum of wine professionals that have all agreed that koshu represents nice quality wine from Japan. Yeah.
I think I saw something about a handful of years ago in the New York Times as well. I don't think it was Eric Asimov's article, but somebody else, I think.
Yeah, somebody else, yeah.
But it's interesting also to note that, a few more points, 90% of the grapes, since we're talking about the grapes of Japan, Well, 90% of them are hybrids. Only 10% of the grapes grown there are actually used for wine.
Okay.
Yeah, so these hybrids like the Niagara we just tasted. I actually have a Niagara vine in the backyard.
Do you really?
Yeah, it's my experimental vine. They're based on the North American U.S. version of the Labrusca, like I mentioned earlier. And this is where we find our classes such as Delaware, Concord, and Catawba grapes. Other grapes that are grown here, like the Delaware that I mentioned, 20% of the vines are Delaware.
Oh, wow.
It's a big percentage. The Kyoho, which is Concord, about 35%.
Kyoho is Concord.
In my notes, I had that it was actually the Niagara, but then I found another source that said it was Concord.
Okay.
Neo Muscat and Muscat Bailey A. These are also hybrids. Muscat Bailey A is actually a red grape. They grow there as well, but they're both hybrids as well. And then there's some others we may not see. There's a wild grape. Why do I call them gropes? A wild grape known as a Yamaburo, one called Kiyomi. And then there's another following. In fact, the third most popular grape there is called Pione, or Pione, P-I-O-N-E, and it's used for rosé.
Oh, I would like to taste that.
Yeah, I know. I think that'd be interesting. I think Jancis called it I don't know if she said to use the word passable or a creditable.
Okay.
Creditable rosé, I believe is what she said. So,
well, she liked also, I saw in the article that I read in the Financial Times that she liked some of the Muscat Bailey A.
Yes.
It could be Pinot Noir like a Burgundy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that was interesting as well. And, finally, when we sit here, we're fortunate enough to have some Cabernets and Merlots in our blends today, but these European or international varieties actually comprise less than 1% of all planting. Because remember, they use most of their grapes for table grapes. They don't make wine with them.
I mean, there is some really great factoids, I think, that in this session, because I definitely learned a lot more about Japanese wine in the last 24 hours putting together this show. And now tasting the wines and having them in front of me, I mean, now there's a real reference point of Japanese wine.
Oh, yeah. And think about it, again, if you go back to the kind of food. Think if you had some tonkatsu in front of you, or the pork cutlets, or some of those gyoza, or the dumplings, or the ramens that I love so much, or some of those teriyaki meals.
I was going to say, the teriyaki stuff would go great with some of these
Can you see it? Because the salt, the umami, would do so nice with these wines that aren't so stringent and tannic and, like you say, attack the gums. They're really nice and smooth, and I think they would go really nice with some Japanese cuisine and probably things that they have over there that we don't eat here, maybe, or haven't gotten. Because a lot of our things that we find, kind of like Italian food, certain restaurants are not really Italian. Depending on where you go, all Italian food's different.
Yeah.
Regionally. Same with the Japanese food.
And in China, the food that we eat here in the U.S. is so different than when you go over there. It's like, it's always Americanized here.
Yeah.
Whether it's China, Japan, Italy, Mexico.
Oh my God, yeah.
I mean, the cuisine is so
you mean Taco
different.
Bell isn't Mexican? Oh man.
I know.
I can't tell you the last time I ate one of those. But at the same time, these wines were not Americanized. These are wines, we got to taste wines that everyday people drink.
And that's what we do on this show.
Everyday drinking for everyday people.
That's right.
So we got to try some really neat things, and I can't thank Carl enough for sending these. And the candy. And the candy,
the
yes.
chocolates.
Yeah, we're nibbling on the chocolates here too. So thanks, Carl. Shout out, and we'll link up all his fun sites if you want to take a tour of Japan, or if you're in the Houston area and you want to check out the sushi club or want some sushi classes.
Yeah.
Yep, including some coming to Colorado Springs soon. So there's that.
Woohoo!
I know.
So I had mentioned that I thought that maybe the Koshu had originally come from the Caucasus. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about our copy of Uncorking the Caucasus that has got a Patreon name on it. So we are still doing this drawing that we started. The book will be given away the first week in January. You know, it was just so fun having Shireen Tan and Dr. Matthew Horkey from Exotic Wine Travel on our show. And they were so generous and gave us this copy of their book, Uncorking the Caucasus, Wines from Turkey, Armenia, and Georgia. So check out our Patreon site and your name will be entered to win. And the way you do it is your name will be entered into the drawing for the book if you are already a Patreon supporter. And if you become a Patreon supporter at any level in November and all of December. And then the contest ends January 1st, 2017. You'll get an entry for each dollar amount for the month of November and December. So what that means is if you pledge $1 a month, this month you'll get 1 entry. $5 a month, you'll get 5 entries. Then we re-enter you for December, and the winner will be drawn the first episode in January. So yeah, check out our Patreon page, and that's patreon.com/wine25podcasts.
Yep.
And thank you now to our current Patreon supporters. Tenacious tasters like Jeff E. from the hilarious We Like Drinking show. And we do have something to tell everybody.
Yeah.
We will be guests on the We Like Drinking show for their episode 99. That's going to be so much fun. And Val and I will be together on the show.
Yeah.
Because we've both been on it individually, but this time it's going to be on for sure.
It's going to be like a wine riot.
It's going to be good. Okay, so more thank yous to our It's Not 5 o'clock and We Don't Care listeners. Thank you, Meg from South Dakota, Clay from Arizona, John in California, and Andrew in Illinois. So you can become even a Wine-tastic listener supporter for only $1 a month.
Our show would not be possible without you, our listener community. To find out more about how you can support Wine to 5 show, please go to patreon.com/Wine to 5podcast.
So check it out again on our patreon.com/Wine25podcasts.
And share the love. I mean, if you have friends in an online community, which I'm sure everybody listening does, that's how they found us, we certainly appreciate you sharing us with everybody. We appreciate your involvement. We appreciate your feedback. And, you can leave us a comment or a burning wine question on our Speak Pipe. And that's right there on our website. I mean, click, click.
Done.
90 seconds. 90 seconds. iTunes love is always appreciated in the form of a glowing iTunes review as well. That keeps our show kind of in that algorithm to hopefully keep it up at the top so more people can discover us. And then for your listening pleasure, whether it's on iOS or Android, we are also on iHeartRadio.
Yep.
So tune us in as your favorite station. Mark is as a little heart there. And share our fun Wine to 5 community with wine lovers in your life. Come play with us on our Facebook page, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, and Google Plus spaces if you'd like. Also, if you want to build your collection of wine books, you can visit our online store. And there's a search box now right on the homepage.
Nice.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different wine books, and then there's search. Yeah, you don't get charged extra for searching from our page to buy something, but we do get a little affiliate love when people do that. So we would appreciate it. Also,
it helps us out.
Connect with me, Val, on Twitter, at WineGalUnboxed, and on the Vino with Val Facebook page, and on Instagram as Vino with Val. And Steph here, you can find her at Albarello Soap on Twitter and the Albarello Soap Facebook page, and she's got videos on her Albarello YouTube channel. And Steph is also on Instagram as the Wine Heroine. One more thing, don't forget to use the hashtag W25Challenge when you are trying new wines, new drinks, and that will win you an opportunity to co-host the show with us because there will be 1 month left by the time this airs.
Oh, you better put those in there.
Down to the last 30 days of the last hashtag W25 challenge of 2016. So until next week, everybody. Cheers.
Thank you for listening to the Wine to 5 podcast. Be sure to check us out at Facebook/WineTWO5 and tune in next week for more fun and useful sip tips.